zoning.
Sorry.
Okay, we have a motion to bring up planning board and zoning board.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Jillian, what do you want us to know?
Well, first of all, hi, I'm Jillian. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the planning board ZBA administrative assistant. Not a ton of changes to the budget this year. Salary is actually gonna go down 1.12%. FICA, Medicare, and New Hampshire retirement, both set by this, somebody else, those are both going up. Most everything else is level funded, other than legal. We've already gone over our legal budget this year, so hoping to avoid that next year. And then circuit rider, that also went up. That's Glenn's fees, and he has asked for a 1% increase. He has not had an increase since 2019. And then our dues went up due to our population going up.
The dues to Rockingham County?
Yes, Rockingham Planning Commission.
Planning Commission.
So that's it for the planning board, that's everything that changed. Any questions?
And the circuit rider, I still picture a man on a horse trotting around.
Yes, I would like to think of
Well, they
Glenn on a
used to do
horse.
that, they used to do
I
that.
have yet to see Glenn riding a horse, but
That's the only way I'm gonna think of him now.
Okay. I saw a note that, that the planning board is going to cover half the cost of the charrette. Is that,
they have encumbered $3,000, or would like to encumber $3,000 from this year for that process next year.
okay.
For what?
The Plan New Hampshire charrette process.
CHARETT, I think. What's that?
Yeah, New Hampshire, yeah. Is it Plan New Hampshire, or is that what it is?
Yes.
And what's the timing for that?
I believe it's mid-May. The application has already been submitted. The planning board has, is giving $3,000. The Economic Development Committee is giving $3,000, and I believe the rec is also doing that. And the planning board, the economic development, and the select board are all being asked to write letters of support, and that's pretty much the process to get that started. The application's already been submitted, so.
What is Plan New Hampshire? What is that?
So they will come down for a week from wherever for a weekend, and we're focusing on the rec, and they will listen to any and all ideas about what our dream vision is for the rec department, the fields, the playground, the building, the snack shack, everything, and they will design that for us. So it doesn't mean that we're necessarily doing all of that, but they will help us design all of that.
And that's gonna be $9,000 we're putting towards that?
It's actually $6,000, and then you have to pay, it's $6,000 for the charrette process, and then you have to cover room and board for any of the engineers that are from out of town. So we figured we'd put $9,000 aside just in case. Any money that's left over will be split between the three boards and returned, is what I was told.
Is this a new thing? I've never heard of this before.
It's been around for a while. I
Yeah,
don't think Brentwood's
Have
ever
we
done it
had,
before.
we've never done
I
it.
don't know.
I don't think Brentwood's ever done it, but Kingston has.
I don't see a need. Our recreation's working fine. We have a director who's very well paid, we have a lot of going on. I don't see that it would be a need to, we have more than awful lot of other towns really, and reality is, why would we spend money to do something which we're doing fine with what we've got?
It's not something that the planning board,
Planning board thinks we need it?
It's not something that we went after. We were approached by the Economic Development Committee.
Oh,
So it's just saying segued into planning
what?
transparency.
Yeah.
So they take our ideas and explain how they can be developed? Or do they look at what we have, let's say, for recreation facilities and suggest?
I think a little bit of both. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not in charge of the process, so
What line is that under?
it's not. We were asked if we would
Oh, that's
encumber
not.
funds.
And
So
the
that's
planning-
outside of
The planning
this
board
budget.
voted for that?
The planning board
Yeah.
voted that they would encumber $3,000 for that, yes.
How can it be outside of the budget?
Well, it's
'Cause it's
outside of
last
this
year.
budget,
It's last year.
Or this,
Not-
this, not,
this.
2022's.
So the remaining.
leftovers.
can I ask a question?
Yes.
I know that we've talked about this before with the split with 13 weeks at one rate and the rest of the weeks at the other rate. How does that lead to a decrease in this budget?
This is a decrease because Julia's starting wage is lower than her predecessors.
That's right, you had someone that switched over.
But this also
That's-
includes a COLA and merit increase.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that those were included even with the decrease, okay. Okay.
Which is 7.5%.
No, it's actually 6%, so 5% merit and then 1% COLA. I mean, reverse.
Any other questions, comments, discussion? Is there a motion? Anybody awake?
I'll make a motion.
This is just for planning or planning and zoning?
Just planning now.
I'll make a motion for 109, next year, 970.
I'll second.
109, 393.
Next year, yeah, 109,
It should be
next year,
109,
393. My bad. Who seconded it?
I did.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Reluctant aye.
I'm going nay.
What? I think I'm gonna be an A too. Change the vote. I don't get this money, this $3,000 thing, this really.
I'll be
Well,
on.
that $3,000 isn't in this
It
budget.
has nothing to do with this budget.
So they spent,
That amount isn't in here.
they spent
That's
money.
leftover money from this year that they're gonna hang on to. So that's not part of this budget.
That piece wasn't my issue, but it's,
Oh.
I guess, what I said earlier, I just fundamentally think we're doing that. The COLA and raise is wrong.
Yeah, well, that was, basically, that's why we're rejecting all these budgets across the board. And I'm gonna stay with an A.
And Anthony, you are,
Nay.
yes?
Yay.
Okay. And I'm a yea.
So 5-2 up.
Okay, a motion to bring zoning board to,
Move.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So the zoning board budget is level funded. They don't spend a lot of money. Just keep it the way it is.
They don't have any employees, so they don't have any,
Just me.
well, you,
How did, what's,
Gets paid through.
I'm confused, it shows you what the wages of the dollars.
She gets paid through the planning board.
what's the ZBA function? People, do developers come to you and to talk about the zoning ordinances or? how does it work?
So far, we've only had a few meetings since I've been here, and it's mostly been, residents of Brentwood that are looking for, like, basically exceptions to the zoning ordinances,
Yeah.
variances.
They don't make the variance, that they don't make.
Okay.
You know, we wanna build a house, but we only have 179 feet of frontage at the road, not 200 feet, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, they've got, like, they call it 5-point thing, the things that are required to make a variance. It's quite, it's a good process.
Does that pass over if you don't have the 200?
Yeah.
We're still on 200 frontage, I thought it was about 80,000 square feet.
No, 200 feet of frontage in a residential zone.
200 feet. Let's split that in two.
Not quite,
What's that?
not quite.
Good variance.
Except when you have cluster. Then you have 20 acres, but you can have it anywhere you want it. Frontage don't count. Here it goes.
Okay, the budget is level funded. Is there any more discussion?
Motion to approve $1,401.
Second? Second, okay. All in favor?
All right?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. Thank you, Jillian.
Thank you.
Back to work now. Okay, let's go back to regular
Process.
order, and let's take a look at the minutes. Are there any comments on the minutes of November 14th?
There was one correction to the spelling of a name, which Karen sent to me, which I fixed for Tim Murphy. That was the only thing anybody sent to me.
How is it actually?
Tamera.
Oh, I thought it looked good the way it was.
I understand people taking exception to their name being misspelled because it happens all the time with mine.
They're just a couple of commas with numbers, that's it.
Did you have something you wanted to change, Elena?
I know, they're just, I think she got it. There's just a
Okay.
couple of commas.
So,
At the bottom of the first page, there's a number,
400,000.
400,000.
Yeah, I just saw that.
At the top of the next page, it says $800 or 22% reduction. It's actually a 50% reduction. It's going from 1,600 down to 800.
Was it? What was it? I don't have that.
I didn't bring that budget tonight.
I think that line item is a 50% reduction, but the bottom line budget is a 22% reduction.
Oh,
Because it includes the town reports, the printing of the town reports in that budget.
okay.
So what was that?
Okay, my mistake then. It's, the bottom line is a 22% reduction, not the top line. I was only looking at the top line.
Okay.
So
So 22 is right.
22 stands.
Okay, thank you.
I think we needed, the motion to adjourn was, we needed some names there.
Who wants it?
Should
I'm
we go back to the
thinking-
video?
I think I did make it.
I think it was Lois, and I
Actually, I
thought,
think you usually do.
I was gonna say, it's my best part of the whole evening, you know?
late in the
Like
evening,
that.
you're ready to go.
What can I say?
And I thought it was Alina that said
What
it.
can I say?
I think it was a chorus.
I
of
think
that.
we're.
Okay, of course. Any other amendments to the minutes? Is there a motion?
I make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstained,
So,
All in favor except Russ,
fair enough.
who abstained. Okay, Russ, is there anything that the select board would like us to know? Anything particular?
not that I can think of.
Okay, Letty?
Nothing new.
Nothing new with the
No new
school?
well, there's a meeting happening right now that I'm not at.
Okay, then nothing important can be happening.
It's gonna be a quick one.
So, nothing on benefits, nothing on buildings. So, on
So,
to,
actually, on benefits, just curious, we're getting bids for a higher deductible plan, right, as part of the re-up?
I did look at price options for high deductible plans or different plan options to see if it would make sense to switch it. So the select board did review those options
Oh, it is.
and opted to stay the same.
So that's it.
okay, then back to budgets and
Budget committee budget.
budget committee budget. You
Motion.
motion to, and a second, somebody?
Sure, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So, normally, I would recuse our whole committee on this, but, on a conflict of interest, but recusing has gone out of style, so let's,
Nobody makes any money anyway. Nobody makes any money
We're
on
not gonna
this
be any
guy.
better off
Well-
with it without it.
certain people have the option to accept money, but they don't,
Yeah,
so,
and I think she should.
yeah.
You can't afford me.
You're too expensive.
So our secretary can get compensated for $400, but she refuses to accept the check. But keep it in there, so, yes,
Would she prefer like a stipend at the end of the budget season?
I honestly, I do most of the minutes here. I don't work outside of this meeting very much, you know, so nobody else gets paid. I don't have to get paid either.
She's one of those secretaries
Thank
who's
you.
totally amazing. She does her minutes, right, and she goes, and they're accurate as all get out. She's just amazing, and I don't say that lightly.
Thank you, Lois.
is there a motion?
Motion to accept the budget. Where is the dollars?
Second?
500.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimous.
Somebody's gonna give her a raise, I think we thought was a good idea.
Cut it. Really expensive.
I think we should give her a raise, and it doesn't cost us anything to do it.
Right.
Okay. Code enforcement. I have a motion to bring code enforcement forward.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's in there. It's not in.
Kip, thank you for joining us.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. Is there anything particular about your budget that you'd like us to know?
Well, let's see. You've got everything laid out in front of you, for what each line item is for. I also listed percentages that it has changed.
Yes,
I guess-
tell us about the 56% one.
Sure. So before I jump onto that, I would just like to, also, I just checked on the latest revenues so far this year. We got another month or so to go here. we've taken in approximately $96,000 in permit fees this year. And I believe the budget line was someplace under 70. So things are looking good.
That answered one of my questions, because we had more permits and fewer dollars in the budget as you ran it, but 96,000 makes more sense.
Yeah, and we're up to about 390 permits this year. Yeah, that's what
390, did you say, Kip?
approximately, yep. And just to go back over the last 4 years, in '21 we did 309, 2020 we did 245, 2019 is 286. And all those years, we're 80,000 plus in revenues approximately. If you go back from when I started 2014, there were a couple break-even years, and there was 1 year that we lagged behind. And of course, we're not here to make money on the permits, we're here to balance out the cost as best as possible, but you never know what's coming down the road, good years and bad. So getting back to line items, you said there was one here for 55% approximate?
Electric, looks like,
Oh, yes.
electrical inspections.
Yeah, electrical inspections. So last year, we decided to put on an electrical inspector who gets paid per inspection. So we have a permit fee that has a minimum of $50, and the inspector gets about $35. Plus there's taxes and stuff to go on that. I calculated that out so that the inspector's getting just under 80% of that $50. The rest is covering the town for paperwork and whatever. So it was fine when it was like 60 or so inspections. This year it's blown up. I've got, actually I didn't run the numbers recently, but well over 100 some odd inspections. I should say permits. And every permit can be one inspection, or it could be 3 or 4. So anyway, I put extra money into that line item, because this year we're gonna fall a little short. So I took my best guess on where we're gonna go, and I added that into that line. So that's why that's up 55.
What was this in the past? Was that something you did in the past, or when you took on this person?
Yes, I used to do them, and really you should have a licensed electrician doing them, especially when it gets to this volume. I could never have kept up with the book for
Is that
that.
because new homes? Is that because of new homes?
A lot of it is new homes, but it's also a lot of pools that have gone in, a lot of solar arrays. So, you know, in the new home, you got a service, then you have the rough, and then you have a final, then you have the generator, then you have, you know, sometimes it's 3 or 4 inspections on just one house, so.
And each inspection is $55, is that? Or-
We have a permit fee that is a minimum of $50, and it has a top end of $140 for a whole house.
Right.
So, and you can get to that anywhere in between by adding up like $1.50 an outlet box on top of the $50, so. And I also have a fee schedule of $75 for a generator. Usually that takes 2 inspections, sometimes it's 1 if you can do the trench at the same time.
Generator like for a house?
Yes, whole house generators. And there's a, you know, so I try and break out all the fees. Same thing with the solar. I have a flat fee of $200, which typically covers the number of inspections for that.
So there's a question about the building that the county's going to build now and inspecting that. Do you?
Permitting that, is there a permit for that?
there is no permit at this time. I assume there will be one, I haven't reviewed any plans. It would be an unknown at this point. So, at this point, I do not have anything in the budget necessarily to cover it. But upon getting the permit and having a fee, then, you know, it'd be kind of an in and out type of situation if we have extra cost.
Isn't this pretty much an in and out item anyway? You just said that they were charging $50, so.
Sure, yeah,
So
most,
it's
exactly. I have money in there for an electrician, and this year I have money in there for plumbing. The two seem to go hand in hand somehow with these new houses. And I have much less for the
Good to know.
plumbing than I do for the electric, because electric covers a lot of other. At the same time, we build a bench, so you have people here. I don't,
Do you have just one person, or is this, you have one electrician and one plumber?
one electrician and hope to add the plumber. Haven't found that individual yet. So, when I go on vacation, I typically take the computer and do the best I can with pictures and calling the individuals, asking them to walk through the items. So having the electrical inspector who can sometimes put an eye on something for me, if I'm not here, that's a great thing.
The salary line is up 7%, and yet the FICA and Medicare is up 28%. How do they not, how do
Well,
they get out of sync?
It's pretty, so last year when I decided to do the electrical inspector, an example, didn't know if we were gonna 1099 them, if we were going to pay them per inspection and take taxes out. I didn't include it. So there's a chunk right there.
So is it a 1099, or are you doing taking taxes out?
It's a town employee, which is safer for all of us. There's no benefits, but he's, you know, on the payroll,
No benefits?
no benefits. No benefits,
No benefits.
Will the plumbing inspector be the same?
be the same.
I think that's safer for insurance purposes than relying on the 1099 of their insurance.
No, I think it's better for all concerned.
Would you anticipate needing more staff to do the inspections for the county building?
It's possible. The thing with the county building also is, a lot of it is engineered stamped work, so I can rely somewhat on some of the engineering firms to go through and sign off. We have the ability, if we need to ask the state if we needed help, that they could. We also have the ability to use a third-party inspector. So when they're pouring concrete, I'm gonna ask that they could prove the testing strength, you know, after 30 days, 90 days, that sort of thing. So in some cases, they're gonna have their own engineers and their own people inspecting it. In cases where they don't, I'm gonna require that a third party does it. And again, that would be kind of that in and out thing, where we got a permit fee, and we just kind of draw from it. It's just not a budget line.
Okay. Comments, questions? Is there a motion?
Motion to accept, let's see if I got the numbers right. Is it 81,391?
291.
Two. Okay.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Thank you, Kevin.
All right,
What do we have for nays?
have a good
Good
evening.
day also.
Two.
Oh,
I think, did I lose it?
sorry.
what we,
Sure, he looks at me.
It's the same thing. Really, they just fundamentally disagree with it. Yeah, I mean, it's, budget is what it is, but I just don't think, that's the right way to do those increases.
So if I may, my reason, because I'm pretty much, that increase was small, it's not like some others that were much higher.
What was the,
Last year, you got a 1%.
unlike the 20 and 19 and
And
22?
the other reason is he brings money in, so he does.
Right, service is service. I mean,
Fair enough.
we went through a benchmark and, level set everybody on what it should be on the benchmark.
So, sorry, can I just ask a question? So you just don't like that people are getting the COLA raises with the merit on top?
No, I don't think that's, I don't think that's my issue. My issue is, so we brought everybody up to what should have been benchmark compared to all of the other towns
For last year?
last year.
Yes.
Right. And then you're doing COLA this year.
Yes.
And COLA is above what, I mean, I sent information out, COLA is above what we're doing at 5%, which I think is entirely fine, is above what other organizations are doing. I know that Fremont's doing 5%, but generally speaking, I sent that information out from the conference call. It's like 4.2 or something like that. And that is COLA plus, plus increases, merit increases, because it's overall salary budget. So I think my issue is more around this concept of every year having a step, which is what it looks like is happening. Right, it's every single budget that we've seen has had an increase. So, I mean, it just seems like it's COLA in addition.
That's pretty much as I see it.
Sure.
And what happens next year? I mean, we've got this whole program that it seems kind of half-baked to me because there's no, these jobs don't have ranges. And so if you have COLA and then you have every year some kind of a merit increase, then you can easily go out of range over time. We have a lot of long tenured employees.
Right, but if you work for the same place for 20 years, your cost of living is going to increase drastically over 20 years.
That's what the COLA's for. Right, and if we look at the past 10 years, the increases that we've given have typically been actually over COLA, we typically target 3% of them, which we haven't hit 3% in the past 10 years, only the past 2 years. This year, before that, there was technically a buffer in addition to COLA built in.
So hold on, this year you think COLA is 4%?
No,
Because I mean, the
I know
prices
it's
jumped
9%.
at least.
I know it's 9%. They're all paid each.
Okay. I don't think we're gonna get anywhere.
No, I just wanted to make sure I was understanding
Yeah.
where you're coming from.
Yeah, but I think the overall is how they've kind of half created this increased mechanism that is not, it doesn't have the typical, like if you were doing salary employing or salary planning, it would look totally different. So I've never in my entire life given everybody in my staff 20% worth of merit increase. Right, it's always some get more, some get less, some don't even get COLA as a result. Right, because you work with the budget.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you for answering.
Yeah. You've been in
Not in
corporate,
those
you've
kind
never
of
seen it.
situations, no.
Which kind of situations?
That you're describing, that you wouldn't give the same kind of COLA increase across the
I'm
board?
not saying COLA. I'm not saying COLA, I'm saying the merit increase portion of it. Right, I mean,
I think that the levels that at least I have in mind are
I can't hear
above.
you. Can you speak up?
Well, I couldn't hear him either, I'm trying to be.
Yeah, I'm struggling, I'm sitting next to him.
No, I'm just saying that I think that the levels that we have in mind are, to begin with, different. We're talking about people that could afford a different level of life than what we are discussing in these meetings. And that's my
Well,
issue with that, that's all.
I differ with you, we're definitely gonna disagree with you on that. because you're looking at it from your perspective. This board, this is, and I'm not saying it's not typical, but if you look at the people in town, there's many more of them that can't afford these continuous increases in our taxes than how do I say this politely, but, they're a majority of our town these are people that are on fixed incomes, and you talked about helping them, well, that you don't help them, you keep the town so they can live here. If I gave my grandchildren my extra house, they couldn't afford to live in this town, because the taxes are just so outrageous. And we need to think about the other, as a what do you want to say? As a conservative board, that we should be looking at what we can do to make our town affordable for the people that live here, not just for, the salaries are good and all these things are fine, but we made adjustments. We can't just keep adding on and adding on.
Louis, God
Eventually.
bless you, but the person on the fixed income with 2 houses in this town is not me. So I
What? Is
understand,
what?
I understand that people have fixed income and people that qualify for the health programs can apply for those programs. And what I was proposing is to have a separate program to help in addition to, for elderly people or otherwise who are on fixed income. That's what I've been talking about for 2 years. So we can discuss that as a town, but we can't stop, inflation is not, we can't stop the progress that is happening around us. We can't have, like, if everybody quits, who's gonna do the work? If people can't afford, who work for the town, cannot afford leaving the
We're
town.
not at that stage. We 20-some% last year. I mean, come on,
Okay,
that's
I'm not, I was talking to Anthony, I was
Okay, I'm
talking.
sorry.
We need to move
We
on.
don't see the sign.
So, can I have a motion to bring forth, now that Andy is,
Just a small.
Will that help?
I was working my OCD.
Andy has joined us here, thank you, and let's,
Oh, Andy's here.
is there a motion for us to address joint loss management?
Oh,
Just join us.
Oh,
Recreation?
are we doing
Yeah.
that one first? Okay.
Well, that's Andy's business too, so.
Sure, so moved?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
This is the one I was really stressing about.
Yeah, we're stressing too. So, does anybody have any questions about joint loss management? What has joint loss management done in the last year?
There are now more town employees that are CPR and first aid certified. We go through training programs. We've also replaced the AED batteries in all the town buildings. We meet quarterly to discuss other safety concerns.
Okay. Okay. Questions, comments? Is there a
There's not much
motion?
to talk about. It's $1.
There we go.
I will move the $241.
Was it 2 for you? Oh,
Second?
just look at the wages.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm an aye.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Recreation. Recreation is an increase of $16,000. The requested budget of $95,000. Andy, you want to speak to that?
Yeah. Excuse me. So, I'll just start by working down each line item and move forward. I have the salary at $61,080. That is a total of a 6.5% increase from what I'm currently at hourly, with 5% of that being COLA and the remaining 1.5% reflecting merit. And then FICA and retirement, those numbers are reflective of the salary line. Training line, we left at level funded at 500. That typically will cover my yearly Electric is an increase from 3,200 to 6,200, and that is based off of expected costs in 2023. And there is a 55% town to 45% rec split on that, and with the heating and oil gas line. And as you can see there, that is a total increase of $1,500 there.
Did you get some projections on the electric company on what to anticipate
I was
next year? Or?
I was using up to 3 months of what I had on increased electric bills leading up to this point, and mapping it out based off the percentages of town to rec split on those costs.
Okay.
Were we able to shop around for the providers? Because I know that it jumped literally 100%. And then there was some other, like, for example, I ended up switching to direct energy because it was, instead of 22 cents, 16.5 cents. It's still, you know.
So that's something that the Energy and Efficiency Committee is looking into.
Okay.
To plow ahead here, dues and subscriptions, that is level funded, and that just covers my membership in order to be able to attend these conferences and quarterly seminars within the New Hampshire Parks and Rec Association. General supplies, we left level funded, that will normally cover office or community center program supplies. The telephone communications line is a total increase of $250, and that is used for the landlines and fire alarm system, which is required by law in our community center. And we increased it to $250 because we have been exceeding that line item over the last 5 years. Equipment and maintenance, we left level funded. This covers any equipment costs for repairs, Snap Shack, fridge, BRC stove. We've had that stove fixed quite a few times. And structured repairs, irrigation system repairs, things like that. Portable toilets is a total increase of $1,550. That is due to increased foot traffic over at the community center and the facilities over there. Since COVID, outdoor activities has grown vastly. Just between town events, we now have more town events now than we did 2-3 years ago. We didn't have a haunted walk. We didn't have our holiday stroll, national night out. And we've also increased field rentals. So now we're getting a lot more people there over the weekend. Prior, where you see the $700 there, that was for one standard unit for about 9 months. We have added a handicap unit there, covering the same time frame. And the rec department is willing to add a 3rd unit there out of the revolving account because of the high foot traffic over there. But due to the amount of people, that's why we have that increased. Town events is a placeholder. Land maintenance that's a total increase of $2,400. That's where that line item was originally before 2022. We had decreased that to offset the wage adjustment for the rec department last year. We would like that to get back to where it was prior. That $5,600 doesn't even cover our fertilization and weed control contract with Lawn Doctor. There's other things that go into land maintenance outside of just those things. Irrigation, infield mix, turning and raking. We've been doing core aerations. We are probably going to take a break from that next year. But there is a lot more to land maintenance other than just throwing the fertilizer down. So that $5,600 is, we put that down to resemble where it was prior to 2022.
So the lawn doctor is the
Our
people
current
that you
vendor.
contract with?
Yep.
Have you put that out recently at all for other bids?
We haven't put that out to bid recently, but I do get proposals and other contracts throughout the year, and it's all reflective. They're on a year-by-year contract. We're not locked in long-term wise, but they also provide great customer service and looking at other contracts to just leave one vendor to save $200.
So you're happy with their work then?
We're very happy with their work. They're very responsive, and they've also gone above and beyond with infield care as well. Our our infields. Lower infield looks great right now. We were able to get that repaired with new infield mix last year, but the St. Helena field is definitely in need of work and is currently a safety concern. And because they've also worked on the fields over the last few years, they know what to do over there. Trails trails, it's a placeholder, and then land and facility improvements, we left level funded. We do intend to increase that in years to come, but we also realize how much our budget had increased, so the line items we chose to increase is what we felt was necessary at this point in time.
Andy, do you remember the last 2 years, the raises, the percentage that you received?
I had a wage adjustment last year, not a raise, and the year prior, I believe I was anywhere between 2.5% and 5%.
What,
Last year it was 20,
what was it?
20,
20?
20.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Are you hourly or salaried?
Hourly.
How many hours do you typically work in a week?
I work up to 40, but there's plenty of times I work well beyond that.
And my question for you, as always, is can we see your income?
So, I can get it here. So the rec, from January 1 up to this day, right here, that's expense, sorry. We brought in $90,043.21 in income out of revenue. And that's still with taking a hit in community center rentals. Those have declined since COVID.
So you said that was income? Net. So is that net or gross?
Yes, net.
So that's the revolving account?
Yep.
And is that the balance in that account at the moment?
No, the current balance is 44,000, give or take.
So 95 is net income?
So this is what we
Yeah,
generated.
it is 100%.
Yep.
So that's revenues.
Yeah, sorry, revenue. Yep.
Revenues, okay. And that's in the average 21st, so we still have a little.
Yeah. No, I do anticipate it to grow a little bit, but not vastly. I mean, basketball registrations are coming to a close and getting ready for the new calendar year.
How would you say revenues have trended over the last few years?
I mean, we're certainly down since COVID, but I mean, in other areas, we've been really reflective on a year-by-year basis in our balance in our revolving account. When I was hired here in 2018, there was $45,000 in the revolving account, and as of right now, at this point in time, there's about 44. Certain areas have grown, certain areas have declined. As I said, facility rentals have gone down, but field rentals have gone up.
Would you say revenues have been about the same now as pre-COVID?
No, just off of facility rentals alone. Facility rentals was what I would say a big cash cow for us, in helping generate revenue into the revolving account. And we've been able to offset some of those losses by increased programming costs in the registration fees over the last year. And we're going to be looking into increasing field rental fees starting in 2023. We did make a slight increase right before COVID. Was it before or after COVID we made the increases to the community center rentals?
Torn. I feel like we discussed it before, but then we might have just paused, and when we picked back up, we put
Yeah.
it in there.
It was-
We talked about it for a while,
Yeah.
so we did up quite a bit, we upped the
Yeah.
rental for that. And we realized our fields are now what's being rented the most, so we can up those. And,
Mhm.
you know, it's other agencies are renting them that charge a great fee, so why not have them help pay for what we have here?
Mhm.
Because we know the fields care is expensive, and the fields are beautiful, we need to keep them that way, but again, to save money, we said, well, we won't aerate this year. You know, that was a big hit. Aeration for that amount of fields costs so much. So we're like.
The amount of
skip
damage it
this
takes
year.
too.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, we put a lot of thought into this, because I'm a stickler for what we're spending. And, you know, we're hoping that our projection on heat and we turn the heat down. I've been all over Indy, that building's too hot, put it lower. We hope we projected too much, but we just had to look at it like, you know,
And that's
this
all.
is what these bills are costing, the electricity, we went through this phone thing like you wouldn't believe.
Mhm.
We're stuck because of the fire system. That phone bill's ridiculous. We thought long and hard how to fix these things, and we were just stuck, so.
And that's on top of when we've been increasing our rates. That's on top of us trying to keep the mindset of knowing who we are. So for example, our summer camp program is a big program. We know that we are there for low-income families, or I shouldn't say low income, but we certainly are not charging what Exeter Rec or what Action Kids charges. So we know there's a fine line on what point we can increase costs at the same time, because, you know, a program like summer camp, we're going to really hurt those families.
How far off from pre-COVID are your revenues, do you think? You say your revenues are 90,000 year to date. Is that about, you know?
I would say it's about, I have to go back and look for, exactly, but I wouldn't say this is, crazy.
So you might have been at 100 for a year.
Yeah, just off of, we made 90 this year, and that's with like 20 less full weekend rentals right there, and that's a big thing.
We picked up revenue with like more flag football, like
Yeah.
some of those field rentals. It kind of balanced with the field rentals has been getting better,
Yeah.
but
And I would say program numbers, some have dipped, some have picked up, like summer camp this year, we were back to where we were in 2019. Field hockey program, we were down 20 kids, and there's also different trends even without COVID that you have to learn and adapt to. For example, basketball
basketball's a big
season,
one.
it's hit us hard. Now there's a lot of options out there for families. Pre-COVID, we would probably have, 120, 140 kids playing basketball. I think we got about, 90 kids right now, and that's because of the other options that are out there. And that's not even, I think those options came because of COVID. A lot of towns shut down their programs in 2020 and 21, so these families went down different avenues.
Like what? Like what are the other options?
Exeter, it's not Exeter, it's called Exeter basketball. But
It's
it's
not
not
for
the town, it's just what happens is, families we've analyzed our programs. We are awesome with the little guys, the beginner T-ball, and then kids get better and they wanna leave for baseball. They go to Exeter baseball. Basketball, they realized it and started this new basketball program. And I already knew, they also start way ahead of us, so they plan these teams in the summer. So I have a 6th grader, and I knew, she was just gonna try basketball. I'm like, well, you missed the tryouts, and they've already made their teams. So right off the top of my head, I knew we're not gonna get a 6th grade girl group of kids. So they're at that, and there's also, we lost a huge amount of kids to private school. And in private school, you have to play sports there. So they're staying after school and playing basketball at Sacred Heart. 7 kids in 6th grade went to Sacred Heart. So they're doing their sports there. So this is how we it's not our program, so we've analyzed it, and we're just gonna keep offering what we can. We might have to join the Stratum for that group of kids to have programs still. And we just said we have to just provide the best things we can for those younger ages in a lot of ways, and then come up with other things for other kids, like, the Haunted Walk was a huge hit
That was-
for older kids.
Oh yeah, that was a big event.
So, we're trying to be creative, and again, I said, we're very conscious of what the budget looks like.
We've also introduced new programming since COVID. We brought in a youth lacrosse program, and the whole purpose of that is to bring kids that's only been playing for about a year or so, and then we send them off to hooligans or
Exeter, it's
or
the
Exeter.
private Exeter lacrosse, right.
Brentwood in a lot of ways when it comes to our youth programming and youth sports, we're setting you up for the next step.
Introductory programs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's facilities rental though, may I? Or are you,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
no, with facilities rentals, I just had a question. So, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
certainly.
No, I just, was it just because of COVID, you feel like the restrictions around the people don't wanna get sick, or did something change? Like, what kind of events people held there before? I'm imagining like Sweet 16 or something.
Yeah, graduation parties was big.
Graduation parties, birthdays, baby showers, weddings,
But what
big
happens, because those things are bad,
conferences.
right?
Well, you know, we
Like,
talked about, we just were discussing this, and I said, when I moved here, I had no idea you could rent that building. And until I got on the rec department, I didn't know till I joined the rec commission, and I said, because we've had years without, you weren't even invited to one to know it existed, so people just don't even know they can rent it right now. So we talked about this, we're doing improvements, and when we get that building in tip-top shape, we wanna have a big open house and let people know, hey, you can rent it, and we're hoping to rent the bottom floor more now. So I think we lost that time for COVID, because we didn't even offer rentals
No,
at that
we're
time.
not
Yeah.
necessarily doing anything different now than we were in 19 or 18 and 19. We'd get anywhere between 50 and 60. When I say 50, 60 rentals, those are weekend rentals. That's where we make, a lot of the money off of. Not the stuff in between during the work week, where it might be an hour here, an hour there. In that regard, we're in line with where we were pre-COVID. So when I say 50 to 60 rentals, we're at like 20 to 30 right now, and that has been consistent since 2020.
What's
And we haven't done
cost,
anything.
just out of curiosity, like.
I'm sorry?
What's the cost? What, you say weekend, I mean, obviously not the whole weekend, so let's say, I don't know, Saturday birthday.
$300 for a resident for a 6-hour block for the upstairs.
Okay.
And originally, before 2020, it was $250.
My 40th,
Mhm.
I know, what are we doing?
Right, see, I mean, people just, that's what we said, we have to get it
Yeah.
back out there, and I said,
And we,
if you were invited to a someone's sweet 16, then you say, oh, I'm gonna do this instead of use my house, and I just think we had a long time of people not doing it, and people got away from it. So if you didn't throw your firstborn at sweet 16, you might not be throwing your secondborn one now. Like, it's taking time, and all of that, the sports, kids haven't played, so they don't wanna play, so it's taking time. for this
we
all
also have
to
a lot of
happen.
great plans in the very near future with the community center. We will be, I'm still working on the time frame, but we will be getting the guts of the building inside the building. We're gonna get new flooring, we're gonna paint the building. We have internet in the building now where it wasn't there in 2020. Once the renovations are done with the building, we are gonna have an open house. I'm working with the communications committee to see what we can do to offer online registration process for facility rentals. If you wanna sign up for a program for Brentwood Rec, anything, you can sign up through our website, except for facility rentals. You have to come here in person to grab that, application.
Yeah,
from
that
you.
could be a big one too, because you just.
And we want a calendar on there, so I can just get on and look, I wanna have a party on New Year's,
Yeah.
what's open, so.
And we're gonna be renovating both up and downstairs. Our upstairs has been our primary, rental spot there, but the idea is we're also gonna be renovating the downstairs, so we can offer, right now, we're currently offering a part-time senior center, which is something new since COVID, and that was something we had in mind before COVID, and obviously COVID hit. But we're gonna be doing that, and the idea is with the open house and doing the facility renovations, that will also increase the basement rentals, which I can count on one hand since I've been here, even in 2018 pre-COVID, how many people would rent the downstairs. So we're hoping that, moving forward with this work here, that's also gonna vastly increase downstairs rentals.
Those renovations are within this budget, or?
No, we're looking at using impact fees for the flooring and to also look at back ramp, the back kitchen deck there and the main front steps.
Back deck.
And we're gonna be using funds out of the revolving account for the payment.
Okay.
So the renovations is, we did not build that into this. We're looking at other ways to get that taken care of.
Okay. Questions, comments further?
Yeah, I don't drive by there, I drive the other way. Is there anything from the road that says like you can rent this building, or like on the sign, like I know that there's a sign that you can change the letters on. Is there anything just fixed underneath it that says like, call this number to rent the building or anything?
There isn't.
No,
There
it's
should be
great.
now, that's a great
Well,
idea.
we should at least flip it on that side.
Yeah,
Well, but like, I
maybe
know,
just put it on one side.
well, I know
and-
that sign usually has like more
Says-
timely information, but like at the bottom, you could have something that's just like fixed in between the
Yeah.
posts or something that's like, call this number, like
great
this
idea.
building for rent. Cause I know when I first moved here, I didn't know what
No.
that building was. I didn't know I could rent it for a long
Right.
time, so.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
So your budget line for land and facility improvements is not really representative of what you guys end up spending, right? Because it sounds like you pulled.
Oh, yeah, I mean, just the lawn doctor contract is about $7,300, and every time we get, and we do have to get infields turned and raked at least 2 to 3 times a year, and that's $700 per application, per field, the aerations, and then any field damages just in general that may occur from a town event, a program.
Yeah.
We've had that before. Yeah, fire truck.
Is there a motion?
So apart from other, I'm just kind of getting back to some of the stuff not showing up, some of the expenditures not actually showing up in the budget. Are there any other expenditures that are non-program related that don't show up that we pay out of the revolving account that don't show up in the budget?
I mean, so staff, I mean, our summer camp staff, our part-time
no,
staff,
that makes sense.
that's
Program
not
fees.
built into this at
Right.
all.
Coaches,
Coaches, yeah, league
Yeah.
fees, things like that. I mean, a lot of that stuff we do build the pricing into it, but I mean, those are expenses that you won't see in here, but that comes
Yeah.
out of the revolving account.
Who
Yeah.
looks at the revolving account revenues and expenses?
The select board weekly.
Select board does. Okay.
And so they get a summary, right?
we have to approve the manifest every week, so any checks that Andy cuts, any expenditures that he spends out of that budget weekly, every Tuesday, the select board reviews and approves.
That's at the beginning of the meeting when they say rec checks, there's this one and this one.
And when there's a surplus from that, does it go into the general fund?
No, it sits in the revolving account. So, a great example of what we used one year, and so 2020, we were one of the very few towns in the state that stayed open for summer camp, because we knew that we had to be there for members of the community. And we were able to take that hit because of the funds we had in the revolving account. We also, the senior luncheons, we don't charge anyone to come to that, so that's all, we do offer some programming at no cost. The Fall River Paddle, that's once a year, that's a free event, and normally the rec department will, small budget, but we'll get burgers and dogs, so we can get people something to eat at the end of the paddle. So there are other, I would say, programs that we do offer at a low or at no cost, but that doesn't mean that there's no expense.
Is there a motion?
My turn? I'll make a motion to,
That's
approve
money. We can knock it back.
95,040.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Opposed?
Nay.
In favor.
No, we can reduce that on it. We can reduce that. We can motion.
Okay, first I want to
Say just-
apologize. I don't know your name.
So I know, I said I should have spoke out. I'm Tammy McNeil. I'm the rec chairperson.
Tammy McNeil, okay, nice to meet you.
Is it MACNEIL?
You got it. If you want to be really picky, the N's capital.
I will be picky for you.
I like it, thank you.
Okay, we had a little discussion about a charrette, and which might affect the rec department. What view do you have of this? Do you have a view at this point?
Yeah, the rec department feels that there's a need to have something on hand to help with future planning. have great staff, I've got great volunteers, good that's what I am, only one person, so to be able to run this department efficiently and moving forward and actually knowing what the community needs are, we were looking at the charrettes, so there could be a rough outline of how we can move forward with what needs are in the future. You know, is it permanent bathrooms or is it additional parking? Maybe certain programming that we're now offering that we haven't thought of, just things like that.
Yeah, we talked about, we end up in circles sometimes, because we hear the town wants this, we want that, bathrooms has come up repeatedly. And so then we think, well, where's the best place to put them? And we're hoping this study could tell us, you know what, the bathrooms should be here, because we found out the water goes only this far. And there's stuff that we wish we were experts in, the things that we don't know. And we would love to get rid of the porta potty. There goes that item, we're not paying, porta potties is just a crazy expense, but it is needed. I mean, the amount of people that are there on a Saturday, we need that amount of toilets. So if we look at this as helping us know the right things the community needs, the right way to do it, not waste time, waste money, waste energy. So, we had voted on our portion to that in the past, and then it got kind of slowed down, and that's where we're at, we can.
So you think the charrette would be helpful
Yeah.
going forward here? Okay,
Yes.
okay.
And your $3,000 contribution will come from your revolving fund?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you, Alan.
Michelle, how do you spell charrette?
What?
CHARET.
That's what I'm doing, yeah.
Is there a squiggly line under it?
No,
Oh, there you go. Must be right.
could be.
Debt service.
So the budget is down $19,535. That is based off of the amortization schedule for principal and interest payments. It is utilizing $25,000 from the fire station impact fees to offset the principal payments here. And the next fund drop off will be the library will be paid off in '23. And then after that, open space funds will drop off between years '25 and '27.
And the big one that we did 2 years ago, last year, isn't on here because they haven't borrowed any money for that yet.
Correct, so they have that $3 billion, but we haven't called any,
So there's no line.
there's no money.
Yeah.
The open space bond is only used 55,000 this year. Is that because the payment is not due yet in the year?
Correct, the last payment will be paid in December,
So it will be 80 as of the end of the year.
yes.
So can ARPA funds be used for payment of principal and interest?
That I would have to double check, we can use it towards anything in our general operating expense. I'm not sure if we can use it towards a principal payment, but I
Okay.
can certainly look into that.
Okay.
It's kind of 6 in one and half dozen the other though.
Well, but yeah, if you use it
is.
somewhere else and free up some money to.
Can only use it once.
Yeah.
Or can we use it more than once?
Sometimes it feels like it.
We'd like to, but
Any other discussion, comment on this?
Gotta pay the bill.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Like you have no choice,
Unanimous.
it's not a what if, open your bills.
Okay.
That's it for budgets.
May I ask a general question? Okay, generally, basically my understanding it. We haven't done it at all tonight, I realize that. These are budget amounts, we can take a number and we can say, I think this is too much, and can we motion to reduce that budget?
Yes.
That's all. On the way.
So I don't know how many of you saw this, but Anthony asked about the ARPA funds and what we actually received and where it has gone so far and where it might be going, and he was concerned about fire. But Andy, did you want to speak to that at all? We got information from Karen and
Oh, me? No. Well, I was just wanted to figure out because last year we had a plan for what to do with the ARPA funds, and we had a little bit left over, and didn't spend all of it on the original plan. I was wondering what the plan was now, since a board can't encumber the next board, as I've come to understand.
so you saw Karen's response.
I did, yeah.
Was that adequate for you? Did that answer your question?
So last year, we were supposed to spend $250, right? And we spent 200, a little under 200 for fire?
So,
Is that
do you want me to review all of what I sent you earlier so that it's all?
Sure, go ahead. I think that would be helpful.
So $472,987.92 was received in ARPA funds.
Wait, what was that?
472,
That's different.
Not what she sent in.
You've got this.
We got
in your
478.
email.
That's a different number though.
That's different.
472, I'm sorry.
472, 987,
Yeah,
92.
That wasn't what.
That's the total amount of ARPA funds that we have received.
so it went up $1,000 from this morning.
Sorry, that might have been a typo.
Okay,
Oh, because that's the ending balance. That would have deducted out the 14,000.
1,400.
We've spent 1,400 year-to-date on the library. That's for custodial services. And there was $115,210 that was appropriated in the 2022 warrant article for fire. To date, we have spent $46,992.50 towards the fire. And based off of that 6-month average, I would anticipate another $10,000 to be spent by year end. So I would estimate that we would be turning back about $58,000 of that warrant article will go unspent. Just due to delays in hiring and benefits elections.
Can you repeat those numbers for me, please? You said you expect how much more to be used by the end of the year?
10,000.
And with the return of,
58,000.
thank you.
And that leaves how much of ARPA funds not spent at the end of this year?
The four,
About 4 to
is that the 471,587 that we got this morning?
No, it's the total. I think that was a
No, I
mistake.
think that. No, that wouldn't work, would it?
Figure that's about it.
That would leave us with about $414,000 of ARPA funds remaining. So that's with the estimate on what we'll spend in fire, the 1,400 that we've already spent.
So Russ, what's the plan for the ARPA funds this year that you guys have discussed? Beyond, you discussed COLA.
We
Right.
discussed COLA, 35,000 going towards
Insurance.
the health insurance.
Yep.
And then I think the remainder will be a discussion when the fire department comes before the select board to discuss their 2023 operating budget. But those 2 firefighters will be in their operating budget for the entire calendar year, so
Right.
we will see some of the funds to offset that.
Right.
so as I read your notes here, library took 1,400, fire took 46,993. COLA is expected to take 86,000.
Yep.
And, medical insurance, 35,000, so that totals almost 170,000.
Yep. Brings it down to 293.
Yeah.
And that
Okay.
would still leave enough to be able to sort of step in those full-time firefighters.
293 with the extra 10,000 that's
Yeah.
coming out. Okay.
Alright. Out of curiosity, what do we get in impact fees a year?
It depends. So the last couple of years, we've gotten several hundred thousand, but that's with the peak of Three Ponds.
Right.
So I would anticipate that trending up with phase 2 of Three Ponds and then the number of development. Assuming that continues on its course.
How does that get allocated? Like, you know, Andy is counting on a certain amount of it. You know, does he normally get a certain percentage of it, or does he have to make his case with the select board?
He gets a set dollar amount, so for every development or
Oh.
every lot that is sold,
Oh.
he gets allocated a certain dollar amount. And so then he has, from the time that it's deposited, he has 6 years to spend that money or return it. So it's never, I mean, it's imperative that you find some sort of a capital asset that you can spend that money on.
It's stored separately from the revolving account.
The planning board votes on those numbers.
Correct. So we just did that, impact fee study last year, or April this year, we just had that.
That's what I'm looking for.
And you get most of it, right? School?
Yes.
What?
School gets most of that.
No.
What?
Really? The school doesn't get anything from 55 plus communities.
Oh, that's true, but for a house lot, you would get.
Well, between us and the high school, not us specific. Here it is. Noted.
So this was general information
Paper
for us.
stacks of papers.
Because the Budcom really doesn't have any say on the use of the ARPA funds, but we like to watch
Well, I'm just.
whatever
looking
the
at
select
overall
board is
tax
doing
impact.
with it.
No, I was just looking at the overall tax impact, right, because we have a lot of double-digit increases, and the question is, what are the offsets? Because I don't want a double-digit net tax, so that's a mess.
But you can't use impact fees for any, it has to be
Well, that was a
something
separate,
new.
no, we're talking ARPA.
Oh.
Yeah, the impact fees are just separate.
So the other thing we got from Michelle is the regional association's minutes. And I don't know if anybody, you know, was that just general information for us? Anybody want to discuss that, any aspect of it, or
I had a question about the process, I guess, and I
we got the
don't
right
know. I
person
don't wanna
right
put you on
here?
the spot. So I know that like the communications subcommittee presents to the select board, and the select board is the one that actually approves, like, or
The
makes
regional
decisions.
association presents it, not the communications.
Yes, I was saying I'm on the communications subcommittee.
Oh, okay, how
And
your
so-
process works, okay.
Yes, and so we will present to the select board, the select board is the one that actually makes decisions. Is
Mhm.
it the same thing with the regional associations?
So the selectmen approve an amount, and we have approved an amount of 17.5. When the applications are due October 1st or 31st? 31st. So when the regional associations committee meets, we will go over all of those applications and determine which of those we feel should be funded.
Mhm.
And that's what will go on, that's what will be presented in March. So the selectmen have already approved this amount, we have that amount to work with.
So you don't like give a presentation about which ones you think should be funded and they approve or deny? They don't see
The
that?
selectmen don't do that, no.
Okay.
That's our task.
The idea
The
that
committee's
Regional
task.
Association was, for many years, we would fight over $20 for the Red Cross, you know, kind of thing.
I remember.
And then they formed that so that we wouldn't have our whole, the whole town meeting over a few dollars when the major money was being spent in 10 minutes. So it was a point of making it, a practical way to distribute it, and not work better for the whole town. It has worked much better.
So when we formed the committee, we created an application, and if you read the minutes, you'll see that there's a lot of information in there. Becky Dunham is our chair, and she goes through, she takes the applications, reviews them, compiles all the information, goes out and looks at gold star rating. She does a lot of research in advance of our meeting, so there's a lot of information in there, and which is what we base our decision on. They have to have a direct impact in our town, so how many, they have to tell us how many people in our town they service, where they get their other money, how much goes to programming versus overhead, so it's pretty complex analysis.
St. Vincent de Paul was not among the ones that were looked at, and there's been some significant Brentwood involvement with St. Vincent de Paul's activities. They're in Exeter, of course. Have you stayed away from that just because of the religious connection? or-
No, it's who applies. We don't solicit these. Whoever comes to us and applies, that's who we look at. We don't ask anybody to apply,
Yeah.
so if they don't ask, we don't give.
Yeah, the man really that made that, put that together was a Brentwood resident, and it might be, I know some people involved there, and so they could contact.
So the application's closed for 2023. They can apply next year.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be on them to apply.
They really have a good organization there, which I think would be nice to have it checked out, Okay. Any other issues? Anybody don't want to talk about anything else? Okay, our next meeting is a week from tonight, Monday, November 28th, right here at 6 o'clock. Public comments is open now. Okay, it's closed now. And, is there a motion? Come on, Lois.
Well, motion to adjourn, the one I do best.
Second.
Okay, nicely done. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
That's the one Louis and I agree on.
Good to end on a note of
Thank you all.
An agreement,
You're
right?
Glad I can do something right.
I'm just causing problems.
Yeah.